Hello, Chris here from Motolegends, sometimes known, but particularly to my mum, as the twat in the cap. Now I'm here today to talk to you about far and away our favourite open face helmet. It's the Shoei J.O. Now the problem with open face helmets is that for most manufacturers they tend to be seen as pretty basic fodder produced for scooter riders. They price them between something like £50 and £150. That's where the mass of the market is. I don't think safety is at the forefront of any of these helmet makers when they produce these helmets. Helmets don't tend to be wonderfully comfortable. Very few of them have changeable cheek pads, for example, and most of them are devoid of any kind of niceties and special features. There are some exceptions out there. So, for example, even though we don't sell it, I would recommend that you can look at the RI Freeway. It's a lovely lid. It does have changeable cheek pads, and of course you get RI quality with that lid. You've also got helmets like these, the Shoei J Cruise and the Shoei M1. These are, of course, a different kettle of fish. These are for people who want to commute or tour, but particularly want to do so in an open face helmet. So these are much more sophisticated bits of kit. They're much quieter. You've got the full length outer visor. You've got a drop down inner visor, changeable cheek pads. Both of these ones, for example, come with very sophisticated comms capabilities. These are great lids. But what most of the manufacturers have not cottoned on to is the growth in the cafe racer market. We're talking about guys who have got expensive bikes, the R9T, the Kawasaki Z900 RS, Moto Guzzi V7s and so on. When you buy a bike like that, you don't really want to ride around in a £50 open face helmet. When people come in for a cafe racer style open face, the first place we normally take them to is the Bell Custom 500. So let's go over, we'll look at the Bell and see what we think to it. So if you want a super cool cafe racer style open face helmet, you would normally start off looking at the Bell. Bell, after all, is the big name in classic motorcycle helmets. It was Roy Richter who in 1957 invented the first motorcycle helmet. It was an open face helmet. It was called the XT 500, and today's Custom 500 is pretty much a copy of that lid. This is the helmet. Bell, as always, they do the best graphics. Their lids are incredibly cool looking. But it's not a perfect helmet. It comes in 5 shell sizes, which is more than anyone else does. And that's because American riders, and obviously Bell is an American company, are obsessed with having the lowest possible profile. By low profile, I mean a helmet that fits really close to the skull to avoid that cannonball look of a cannonball on top of your head. I think, however, the problem is that Bell have been so obsessed with that they've stinted on comfort, because this is a very uncompromising lid. There's nothing cushioning the EPS. So if this fits, it's kind of okay, but it's not a wonderfully comfortable lid. Can't change any cheek pads, so again, it's one of those helmets, if it fits, it fits. Our main issue with it here at Motolegends is that when people come into the shop, it probably fits only about 50% of people who try it on. And what we tend to find is that if the cheek pads are comfortable, fit nicely, then here on the headband, it's incredibly tight. If it's comfortable on the headband, then with this very kind of round shape you get with the Bell, you end up with big gaps here, which are going to let air in, going to make the helmet incredibly noisy. So much as we love the Bell brand, the designs are great, the graphics are great, for many people, this helmet just isn't going to work. So often, having looked at the Bell, we'll go on and we'll try the Shoei J.O, which after all is the helmet we're here to talk about today. So this is the Shoei J.O. Comes in a range of fairly muted, grown-up, subtle colours. If you want something in fancy graphics or with candy paint, then perhaps the Shoei J.O isn't for you. It has a pleasing profile. It's got a sloped back, so it tends to be less bulbous than some helmets. It does, however, only come in 3 shell sizes, so it is less low profile than the Bell Bullet, albeit it's much more comfortable to wear. I think on that subject of profile, what I would say is, whenever you look at yourself in the mirror in an open face helmet, you are going to look as though you've got a bowling ball on the head. The answer is just to get over it. I've never ever been to a bike meeting where someone has pointed at someone over the other side of the car park and said, have you seen the size of that helmet on that guy's head? it just doesn't happen. So it's a self-perception thing. It really isn't a big deal. And I think if you obsess about having a low profile, you'll end up with a helmet that's not as good, not as comfortable, not as safe. What we like about this helmet, of course, is its comfort and our ability to custom fit it. So for every J.O, we have the ability to fit 4 different sizes of cheek pad. So if you have a face that's a little bit thinner, we can put a thicker cheek pad in. If you're overfilling the helmet, we can put a thinner one in. It takes 2 seconds. If you come and see us and we do it in the shop, there's no charge for this. So they come out, we put thicker or thinner ones in. Similarly, we can do the same with the headlining. There are 3 different sizes of headliner. So unlike most open face helmets, this is one that we can pretty much make fit everybody. That having been said, when you put this helmet on, it just feels in a different league to almost any other open face helmet out there. One of the other really nice features about the J.O is this drop-down visor. It has 3 different positions, so you can adjust it here, because what you don't want is it touching your nose. So often if you put it on the lowest setting, it will touch the nose, but we can move it up. If we find there's a scenario where it is still touching your nose on the highest setting, we just put a little sponge in the roof, which is something that racers do a lot, just to raise the helmet a little bit. It can be worn equally with goggles, so if you want to go for that pure cafe racer look, you just put a set of goggles on the front. What a lot of people do, you can wear the goggles, functionally that they will work fine. But what a lot of people do, they have the goggles up there for that cafe racer look, and then they still use the drop-down visor. Drop-down visor is a very good one, by the way. It makes the helmet a little bit quieter, and I've noticed when riding in one that it certainly keeps the rain off. So it means that you can ride in this helmet at kind of at proper speeds. You've got a strap at the back that holds the goggles in place. So if it's the cafe racer look you want, I think this helmet is as good as any. I'm going to finish by talking about another version of the J.O. Probably going to do another video on it, but it's called the X0. Now you may think that's not an open face helmet at all, but the truth is it is very much based on the J.O. It is the J.O with a chin piece. You've still got the same drop-down visor, the sloping profile, the little cam tail at the back. We can change for all the liners. In fact, because of the shape of this, we have even more liners to improve the fit. But what this is, it's an open face helmet for those people who don't want to risk losing their chins. So it's a great lid. When you're wearing it, you've got all of the inflow, that feeling of wind in your hair. It's a fantastic helmet to ride in. There's very little trade-off between this and an open face in terms of a feeling, but if it does go wrong, you keep your chin. It's not an off-road helmet. It's obviously based on the style of helmets, off-road helmets from the 80s, but this was very much designed for the road, very much designed as a helmet for the open face rider who's just a little bit cautious and doesn't want to take too many risks. So that's the Shoei J.O. We think it's head and shoulders above any other open face helmet on the market. It is not the cheapest. You'll pay pretty much double the price for this that you would for a Bell. There are more expensive open faces on the market. I think the Arai is $350 as we record this in late 2019. These helmets are priced in plain colours at £300. You can pay more for a Hedden. I think they're also in the 300s, but of course a helmet like that is not in the same league in terms of sophistication. So if you want the very best open face helmet, I think it's the safest, I think it's the most stylish, the most comfortable, and we can custom fit it. It's got to be the Shoei J.O. Anyway, hope you enjoyed listening to our review. I've been Chris, Motolegends. We'll see you soon. Remember, if you want more details, visit the website, motolegends.com. If you want to subscribe to bulletins, you can do that on the front page of the website, where we'll tell you about any new arrivals. As new products come in, we send out a bulletin. We tend to be going out the same day that a new product arrives. And if you want to subscribe to our videos, then you can do so on the button below. Anyway, see you soon.